We are live.
Yay!
Yay!
So, Drea's in town, and she brought me a present.
Oh, cool. Is that Moomin? What is that?
Tea!
Cool.
4 different flavors, and they're named Sweetheart Tea and Moomin Mama's Magic Potion. And they're all flavored with oils, I think. So I'm drinking the strawberry rhubarb tea, and it's not curdling with my milk in it. So that is
Lovely.
yeah, so good. Right? How's your weekend been?
This is my weekend. I literally just woke up. I worked last night.
So it's been stressful so far because it's been 15 minutes of bageling and oh my god, what the hell?
Yeah.
I sent you an email because I was like, what if their phone isn't nearby, but they're sitting there twiddling their thumbs waiting for me to click on the link. It's like these are the thoughts. These are the paranoid thoughts that go through my head. Like, what if I'm the one who's causing the traffic jam?
You were not.
Thank you. I'm cool with that. The fellowship is breaking.
Yep, we were right at the beginning of that chapter. We finished up the one before last time.
Great River.
Great River. It's just okay.
Do you have plans for your weekend?
What plans would I have? There's a pandemic and I'm in Paonia. My plans are to sleep a lot and hang out.
Fair enough.
I haven't had plans for a weekend since March.
Yeah, I hear that. Every so often we all get kitted up with masks and hoods and hazmat suits and go to the bookstore or something just to have a change of scenery. I'm exaggerating. We stick to masks. Feels like hazmat suits.
I was trying to think what good hoods would do.
I don't know. Maybe they'll learn that hair is full of germs soon.
I mean, all of humanity is full of germs. I doubt it transmits via hair.
No, thank goodness.
I mean, I would have an advantage.
I'm trying to grow mine out, so that would be awkward. I'm not gonna spray Lysol all over it.
Gross.
Right. Oh my god, our dryer was broken for 3 days.
Oof.
For a family of 8 people, it's long. It was just the heating coil broke. So Jason ordered a new one and they're super cheap and he knows how to do it, but that meant that for 3 days we were all like reusing towels and then reusing them again, and towels and underwear. Those are the things that you really start to miss right away. The rest of the clothing, there's always more somewhere if you look in your drawer hard enough, but dang it.
But that sucks.
He fixed it so we had clean towels this morning and it was like
when I lived in Prague, we had a washing machine but not a dryer. They're like not standard over there.
Yeah.
So most people don't have them. So it was like wash your clothes at least 24 hours before you need them, because then you have to hang them out on the patio to dry for like 12 hours. And then they'll be cardboard-like consistency when you get them back in. And
yeah. I don't know if you're old enough to remember that we lived that way for a while. I can't remember which house, but at some house we had a broken dryer or we just didn't have a dryer and everything got hung up to dry and towels got very sandpapery. But they smelled good. They smelled amazing.
Yeah, that's the case in Prague. They smell like exhaust when you bring them in.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't great.
Yeah.
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 The Fellowship. It is breaking. We're at chapter 10.
I will get my knitting in frame here.
Nice. Aragorn led them to the right arm of the river. Here, upon its western side, under the shadow of Tol Brandir, a green lawn ran down to the water from the feet of Amon Hen. Behind it rose the first gentle slopes of the hill clad with trees, and trees marched away westward along the curving shores of the lake. A little spring fell tumbling down and fed the grass. Here we will rest tonight, said Aragorn. This is the lawn of Parth Galen, a fair place in the summer days of old. Let us hope that no evil has yet come here. They drew up their boats on the green banks, and beside them they made their camp. They set a watch, but had no sight nor sound of their enemies. If Gollum had contrived to follow them, he remained unseen and unheard. Nonetheless, as the night wore on, Aragorn grew uneasy, tossing often in his sleep and waking. In the small hours he got up and came to Frodo, whose turn it was to watch. "Why are you waking?" asked Frodo. "It is not your watch." "I do not know," answered Aragorn, "but a shadow and a threat have been growing in my sleep. It would be well to draw your sword." "Why?" said Frodo. "Are enemies at hand?" "Let us see what sting may show," answered Aragorn. Duh.
It would be well to draw your sword. Why? So you can stab someone with it, Frodo. What do you think a sword is for?
But it's also the only orc sensor we have, like long-range orc radar.
Right?
Let's just have a look. Like I need to know where we are. Let's take the compass. Why?
Well, I don't know how to explain this to you.
Frodo then drew the elf blade from its sheath. To his dismay, the edges gleamed dimly in the night. "Orcs," he said. "Not very near, and yet too near, it seems." "I feared as much," said Aragorn, "but maybe they are not on this side of the river." The light of Sting is faint, and it may point to no more than spies of Mordor roaming on the slopes of Amon Law. I have never heard before of orcs upon Amon Hen, yet who knows what may happen in these evil days, now that Minas Tirith no longer holds secure the passages of Anduin. We must go warily tomorrow. The day came like fire and smoke. Low in the east there were black bars of cloud like the fumes of a great burning. The rising sun lit them from beneath with flames of murky red, but soon it climbed above them into a clear sky. The summit of Tol Brandir was tipped with gold. Frodo looked out eastward and gazed at the tall island. Its sides sprang sheer out of the running water. I love how many inanimate objects spring and thrust in Middle-earth. It just
The landscape is very active.
very abrupt. I love it. Way to make the boring scenery more interactive. And I recognize that I've said this before, but it bears repeating. High up above.
Remember, so.
What's that?
I didn't remember, so.
Thank you. High up above the tall cliffs were steep slopes upon which trees climbed, mounting one head above another. And above them again were grey faces of inaccessible rock, crowned by a great spire of stone. Many birds were circling about it, but no sign of other living things could be seen. When they had eaten, Aragorn called the company together. "The day has come at last," he said. "The day of choice which we have long delayed. What shall now become of our company that has travelled so far in fellowship? Shall we turn west with Boromir and go to the wars of Gondor? Or turn east to the fear and shadow? Or shall we break our fellowship and go this way and that, as each may choose? Whatever we do must be done soon." We cannot long halt here. The enemy is on the eastern shore, we know, but I fear that the orcs may already be on this side of the water." There was a long silence, in which no one spoke or moved. "Well, Frodo," said Aragorn at last, "I fear that the burden is laid upon you. You are the bearer appointed by the council. Your own way you alone can choose. In this matter I cannot advise you. I am not Gandalf, and though I have tried to bear his part, I do not know what design or hope he had for this hour, if indeed he had any. Most likely it seems that if he were here now, the choice would still wait on you. Such is your fate." Frodo did not answer at once. Then he spoke slowly. "I know that haste is needed, yet I cannot choose. The burden is heavy. Give me an hour longer, and I will speak. Let me be alone." Aragorn looked at him with kindly pity. "Very well, Frodo, son of Drogo," he said. "You shall have an hour, and you shall be alone. We will stay here for a while, but do not stray far or out of call." Frodo sat for a moment with his head bowed. Sam, who had been watching his master with great concern, shook his head and muttered, "Plain as a pikestaff it is, but it's no good Sam Gamgee putting in his spoke just now." Presently Frodo got up and walked away, and Sam saw that while the others restrained themselves and did not stare at him, the eyes of Boromir followed Frodo intently until he passed out of sight in the trees at the foot of Amon Hen. Wandering aimlessly at first in the wood, Frodo found that his feet were leading him up toward the slopes of the hill. He came to a path, the dwindling ruins of a road of long ago. In steep places, stairs of stone had been hewn, but now they were cracked and worn and split by the roots of trees. For some while he climbed, not caring which way he went, until he came to a grassy place. Rowan trees grew about it, and in the midst was a wide, flat stone. The little upland lawn was open upon the east, and was filled now with the early sunlight. Frodo halted and looked out over the river far below him, to Tol Brandir and the birds wheeling in the great gulf of air between him and the untrodden isle. The voice of Rauros was a mighty roaring mingled with a deep throbbing boom. He sat down upon the stone and cupped his chin in his hands, staring eastward but seeing little with his eyes. All that had happened since Bilbo left the Shire was passing through his mind, and he recalled and pondered everything that he could remember of Gandalf's words. Time went on, and still he was no nearer to a choice. Suddenly he awoke from his thoughts. A strange feeling came to him that something was behind him, that unfriendly eyes were upon him. He sprang up and turned, but all that he saw, to his surprise, was Boromir, and his face was smiling and kind. "I was afraid for you, Frodo," he said, coming forward. "If Aragorn is right, and orcs are near, then none of us should wander alone, and you least of all. So much depends on you. And my heart, too, is heavy. May I stay now and talk for a while, since I have found you? It would comfort me. Where there are so many, all speech becomes a debate without end, but two together may perhaps find wisdom." "You are kind," answered Frodo, "but I do not think that any speech will help me, for I know what I should do. But I am afraid of doing it, Boromir. Afraid." Boromir stood silent. Rauros roared endlessly on. The wind murmured in the branches of the trees. Frodo shivered. Suddenly Boromir came and sat beside him. "Are you sure that you do not suffer needlessly?" he said. "I wish to help you. You need counsel in your hard choice. Will you not take mine?" "I think I know already what counsel you would give, Boromir," said Frodo, "and it would seem like wisdom, but for the warning of my heart." "Warning? Warning against what?" said Boromir sharply. Against delay, against the way that seems easier, against refusal of the burden that is laid on me, against, well, if it must be said, against trust in the strength and truth of men. Yet that strength has long protected you far away in your little country, though you knew it not. I do not doubt the valor of your people, but the world is changing. The walls of Minas Tirith may be strong, but they are not strong enough. If they fail, what then? We shall fall in battle valiantly, yet there is still hope that they will not fail. No hope while the ring lasts, said Frodo. Ah, the ring, said Boromir, his eyes lighting. The ring. Is it not a strange fate that we should suffer so much fear and doubt for so small a thing? So small a thing. And I have seen it only for an instant in the house of Elrond. Could I not have a sight of it again? Frodo looked up. His heart went suddenly cold. He caught the strange gleam in Boromir's eyes, yet his face was still kind and friendly. It is best that it should lie hidden, he answered. As you wish, I care not, said Boromir. Bitch. Yeah.
Bro, you being so shady. Oh, can I see it? I mean, I don't care.
There. Yet may I not even speak of it? For you seem ever to think only of its power in the hands of the enemy, of its evil uses, not of its good. The world is changing, you say. Minas Tirith will fall if the ring lasts. But why? Certainly if the ring were with the enemy. But why if it were with us? Were you not at the council? Answered Frodo. Because we cannot use it, and what is done with it turns to evil. Boromir got up and walked about impatiently. So you go on, he cried. Gandalf, Elrond, the CDC, all these folk have taught you to say so.
Topical humor.
It'd be funny if it weren't true. Yeah. All these folk have taught you to say so. For themselves, they may be right. These elves and half-elves and wizards, they would come to grief, perhaps. Yet often I doubt if they are wise and not merely timid. But each to his own kind. True-hearted men, they will not be corrupted. We of Minas Tirith have been staunch through long years of trial.
Bro, that's literally like the opposite of what history tells us. Like, come on.
Yeah.
True-hearted men will not be corrupted. Literally, they are the first to be corrupted.
Be corrupted every single time.
Every time. Take a hint.
Yeah.
Honestly.
What, you mean like the Númenóreans who took Sauron home and then believed him when he said that they could steal immortality from the elves? Like, those true-hearted men? You poor sap.
Okay, look, let's not bring Númenor into this, okay?
I'm just saying. We do not desire the power of wizard lords, only strength to defend ourselves, strength in a just cause. And behold, in our need chance brings to light the ring of power. It is a gift, I say, a gift to the foes of Mordor. It is mad not to use it, to use the power of the enemy against him. The fearless, the ruthless, these alone will achieve victory. What could not a warrior do in this hour? A great leader? What could not Aragorn do? Or if he refuses, why not Boromir? The ring would give me power of command. How I would drive the hosts of Mordor, and all men would flock to my banner. Boromir strode up and down, speaking ever more loudly. Almost he seemed to have forgotten Frodo while his talk dwelt on walls and weapons and the mustering of men, and he drew plans for great alliances and glorious victories to be, and he cast down Mordor and became himself a mighty king, benevolent and wise. Suddenly he stopped and waved his arms. And they tell us to throw it away, he cried. I do not say destroy it. That might be well if reason could show any hope of doing so. It does not. The only plan that is proposed to us is that a halfling should walk blindly into Mordor and offer the enemy every chance of recapturing it for himself. Folly! Surely you see it, my friend, he said, turning now suddenly to Frodo again. You say that you are afraid. If it is so, the boldest should pardon you. But is it not really your good sense that revolts? No, I am afraid, said Frodo, simply afraid. But I am glad to have heard you speak so fully. My mind is clearer now. Then you will come to Minas Tirith? Cried Boromir. His eyes were shining and his face eager. You misunderstand me, said Frodo. But you will come, at least for a while, Boromir persisted. My city is not far now, and it is little further from there to Mordor than from here. We have been long in the wilderness, and you need news of what the enemy is doing before you make a move. Come with me, Frodo, he said. You need rest before your venture, if go you must. He laid his hand on the hobbit's shoulder in friendly fashion, but Frodo felt the hand trembling with suppressed excitement. He stepped quickly away and eyed with alarm the tall man, nearly twice his height and many times his match in strength. Why are you so unfriendly? Said Boromir. I am a true man, neither thief nor tracker.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a thief. I just want to take something that isn't mine.
Yep. Why are you so unfriendly? I'm just being super creepy and weird about something very important to you. Why is that a problem?
Yeah.
Classic nice guy, if you ask me.
I don't want world domination. I just want to become a benevolent, wise ruler of all that I survey.
Yeah, why is it? Oh, man. I just read Rose Daughter, which is one of the Robin McKinley Beauty and the Beast retellings.
Yeah.
And there's a part where the fairy is saying, you know, the beast when he was human had money and power, and you would have those things if he turned back to human, and you would be wise and just, and your names would be spoken throughout all lands. And Beauty goes, how would our names be spoken? And the fairy's like, that's the right question, with fear and hatred. Because nobody can decide for people they don't know what's best. And Beauty's like, yeah, I think I'm going to stick with him as a beast, please.
Right. I think I've read that. I know it's on my shelves. Yeah. Did you ever read... I'm totally interrupting a high point of tension here to
Look, we have not sustained any of the high points of tension. I don't see why we should stop now.
Did you ever read Untold Tales?
No.
I've lost my copy because I loaned it to someone. I'm wishing I hadn't. But it's 4 different fairy tales retold, except they get progressively weirder. And then at the end, like the epilogue, not even the epilogue, like the 5th story is the story about the characters getting sentient to the fact that they are characters written into a story by an author on a disc with technology. One of them actually goes into the hard drive because he gets like struck by a meteor or something, but he's too obsessed with his story finishing because he rescued the wrong princess. Back in the day, he rescued the wrong princess, and he's been living the wrong life with the wrong woman. And he's finally gone and found the one that he was supposed to rescue, who was rescued by some random guy. And he's like, please, our destiny. And she's like, it's too fucking late. And he's like, but. And then he's struck by a meteorite because the author realizes he wants to hook up with the ex-princess. And he meets a bite made of bits. And the bite becomes his friend. And it just fucking awesome. But the retelling of Beauty and the Beast in that book is that the Beast is handsome and evil and cruel, and he has become evil and cruel because the curse that made him handsome also granted every wish that he could think of, also gave him unlimited power, and he can't love, he can't trust, he can't, like, everyone who wants him for his face, his money, or his power. So he has become a cruel, vindictive, horrible person, and Beauty is ugly. Her father named her Beauty because she came out looking like a fucking shaved monkey, and he decided to name her Beauty in the hopes that fate would, like, fix her up. Or at least that denial could prevent her from hurting because her face was such a
I mean, all newborn babies look like shaved monkeys, so I think he may have jumped the gun, but I see what you're saying.
Right? And so her physical deformities and his physical perfection are this weird dichotomy at the dinner table, because she is wonderful. She is sweet and she is kind, and she loves the invisible servants because they're the first people she's ever seen that didn't wince at the sight of her, or at least she can't see them doing it. And it's my favorite retelling, even including Robin McKinley, who is a genius, but I can't remember who wrote Untold Tales, but go find it because it's so good. And they really are kind of in love. And when she does escape, she realizes that as far as her family's concerned, she's an invisible servant. And it's really, and it's so short. Like, you could read it in a day. So that's my take. If I ever get another copy of it, that would be awesome. I'm also kicking myself because that was like one of the proof copies, so those aren't very common.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave away a really neat proof copy of a good book. Damn
it. Gotta be careful what you loan to people.
Right. Still, what were the other two? Oh, the Frog Prince, 20 years later. That's another one of those shit didn't go quite, if Happily Ever After didn't go quite the way they wanted it to. And I can't remember what the fourth one was. I am a true man, neither thief nor tracker. I need your ring, that you know now, but I give you my word that I do not desire to keep it. Will you not at least let me make a trial of my plan? Lend me the ring. No, no, cried Frodo. The council laid it upon me to bear it. It is by our own folly that the enemy will defeat us, cried Boromir. How it angers me! Fool, obstinate fool, running willfully to death and ruining our cause. If any mortals have claim to the ring, it is the men of Numenor. See, he brought it up. Men of Numenor and not halflings. It is not yours save by unhappy chance. It might have been mine. It should be mine. Give it to me. Frodo did not answer, but moved away till the great flat stone stood between them. Come, my friend, said Boromir in a softer voice. Why not get rid of it? Why not be free of your doubt and fear? You can lay the blame on me, if you will. You can say that I was too strong and took it by force. For I am too strong for you, halfling, he cried, and suddenly he sprang over the stone and leaped at Frodo. His fair and pleasant face was hideously changed. A raging fire was in his eyes. Frodo dodged aside and again put the stone between them. There was only one thing he could do. Trembling, he pulled out the ring upon its chain and quickly slipped it on his finger, even as Boromir sprang at him again. The man gasped, stared for a moment, amazed, and then ran wildly about, seeking here and there among the rocks and trees. Miserable trickster! He shouted. Let me get my hands on you. Now I see your mind. You will take the ring to Sauron and sell us all. You have only waited your chance to leave us in the lurch. Curse you and all halflings to death and darkness! Then, catching his foot on a stone, he fell sprawling and lay upon his face. For a while he was as still as if his own curse had struck him down. Then suddenly he wept. He rose and passed his hand over his eyes, dashing away the tears. "What have I said?" he cried. "What have I done? Frodo, Frodo," he called. "Come back! A madness took me, but it has passed. Come back!" There was no answer.
Right, a likely story, bro.
Right. And even if it's true, can you guarantee it won't happen again? No.
No.
I feel like I rubbed one eye worse than the other one. It's just my inability to use makeup the way it's meant to be used.
I mean, I feel like that's a pretty normal way to use makeup, is just to smear it all over, but maybe that's me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going for the asymmetry look.
Mm-hmm.
Very
See, there you go.
Look into my roots. There was no answer. Frodo did not even hear his cries. He was already far away, leaping blindly up the path to the hilltop. Terror and grief shook him, seeing in his thought the mad, fierce face of Boromir and his burning eyes. I should mention that while this scene holds a whole lot of awesome, it's 10 times more awesome in the movies. Sometimes I watch the movies just to see Boromir. Sean Bean is a godsend to this character because he gave him character. And
I mean, that helps.
Yeah, and this whole arc of madness and then redemption, Sean Bean does it better than the written page. I say that who love the written page. Soon he came out alone on the summit of Amon Hen and halted, gasping for breath. He saw, as through a mist, a wide, flat circle, paved with mighty flags, and surrounded with a crumbling battlement. And in the middle, set upon 4 carven pillars, was a high seat, reached by a stair of many steps. Up he went, and sat upon the ancient chair, feeling like a lost child that has clambered upon the throne of mountain kings. At first he could see little. He seemed to be in a world of mist in which there were only shadows. The ring was upon him. Then here and there the mist gave way, and he saw many visions, small and clear as if they were under his eyes upon a table, and yet remote. There was no sound, only bright living images. The world seemed to have shrunk and fallen silent. Kind of makes you wonder if he'd been on the hill of hearing, in the seat of hearing, would he have been blind but have heard the shit going on?
Surely, right? You would think.
Otherwise, what's the point? The world seemed to have shrunk and fallen silent. He was sitting upon the seat of seeing on Amon Hen, the hill of the eye of the men of Numenor. Eastward he looked into wide, uncharted lands, nameless plains and forests unexplored. Northward he looked, and the great river lay like a ribbon beneath him, and the misty mountains stood small and hard as broken teeth. Westward he looked and saw the broad pastures of Rohan, and Orthanc, the pinnacle of Isengard, like a black spike. Southward he looked, and below his very feet the great river curled like a toppling wave and plunged over the falls of Rauros into a foaming pit. A glimmering rainbow played upon the fume. And Ethir Anduin he saw, mighty delta of the river, and myriads of seabirds wheeling like a white dust in the sun, and beneath them a green and silver sea, rippling in endless lines. But everywhere he looked, he saw the signs of war. The misty mountains were crawling like anthills. Orcs were issuing out of 1,000 holes. Under the boughs of Mirkwood there was deadly strife of elves and men and fell beasts. The land of the Beornings was aflame. A cloud was over Moria, Smoke rose on the borders of Lorien. Horsemen were galloping on the grass of Rohan. Wolves poured from Isengard. From the havens of Harad, ships of war put out to sea, and out of the east men were moving endlessly. Swordsmen, spearmen, bowmen upon horses, chariots of chieftains and laden wains. All the power of the Dark Lord was in motion. Then turning south again, he beheld Minas Tirith. Far away it seemed, and beautiful, white-walled, many-towered, proud and fair upon its mountain seat. Its battlements glittered with steel, and its turrets were bright with many banners. Hope leaped in his heart. But against Minas Tirith was set another fortress, greater and more strong. Thither, eastward, unwilling, his eye was drawn. It passed the ruined bridges of Osgiliath, the grinning gates of Minas Morgul, and the haunted mountains, and it looked upon Gorgoroth, the valley of terror in the land of Mordor. Darkness lay there under the sun. Fire glowed amid the smoke. Mount Doom was burning and a great reek rising. Then at last his gaze was held. Wall upon wall, battlement upon battlement, black, immeasurably strong, mountain of iron, gate of steel, tower of adamant, he saw it. Barad-dûr, fortress of Sauron. All hope left him. And suddenly he felt the eye. There was an eye in the dark tower that did not sleep. He knew that it had become aware of his gaze. A fierce, eager will was there. It leaped towards him. Almost like a finger he felt it, searching for him. Very soon it would nail him down, know just exactly where he was. Amon Law it touched. It glanced upon Tolbrandir. He threw himself from the seat, crouching, covering his head with his grey hood. He heard himself crying out, "Never, never!" Or was it, "Verily I come to you"? A little bit different.
Slightly. I mean, hard to mistake those for each other.
Yeah. He could not tell. Are you the object or the subject? Because that's interesting. That's a weird ablation of self he's going through, and I really like it. Then, as a flash from some other point of power, there came to his mind another thought. Take it off! Take it off! Fool, take it off! Take off the ring! The two powers strove in him. For a moment, perfectly balanced between their piercing points, he writhed, tormented. Suddenly he was aware of himself again. Frodo, neither the voice nor the eye. Free to choose, and with one remaining instant in which to do so. He took the ring off his finger. He was kneeling in clear sunlight before the high seat. A black shadow seemed to pass like an arm above him. It missed Amon Hen and groped out west and faded. Then all the sky was clean and blue, and birds sang in every tree. Frodo rose to his feet. A great weariness was on him, but his will was firm and his heart lighter. He spoke aloud to himself. "I will do now what I must," he said. "This at least is plain. The evil of the ring is already at work, even in the company, and the ring must leave them before it does more harm. I will go alone. Some I cannot trust, and those I can trust are too dear to me. Poor old Sam, and Merry, and Pippin. Strider, too. His heart yearns for Minas Tirith, and he will be needed there, now Boromir has fallen into evil. I will go alone. At once." He went quickly down the path and came back to the lawn where Boromir had found him. Then he halted, listening. He thought he could hear cries and calls from the woods near the shore below. "They'll be hunting for me," he said. "I wonder how long I have been away. Hours, I should think." He hesitated. "What can I do? he muttered. I must go now, or I shall never go. I shan't get a chance again. I hate leaving them. And like this, without any explanation. But surely they will understand. Sam will. And what else can I do? Slowly he drew out the ring and put it on once more. He vanished and passed down the hill, less than a rustle of the wind. So it's interesting that at this point, the eye can't sense him.
Well, no, because he's not sitting on Amon Hen.
Right? And I think he touches on that later, like at the very least when Frodo is in the mountains have various shadows and not shields, that's not what I'm looking for, but firewalls laid on them that Sauron himself can't pierce even if he wants to. So when they're actually protected by his defenses at that point. And I think there might be something like that going on with the ring too. Like if you just sort of have it on and you're not in a place that's obvious, even its master can't really sense it because it's a thing. It's shielded.
Possible.
Got a security system. Be fun if someone who was really good at such things wrote a like cyber version. Took the entire arc of story but made it about a program. Right?
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Like the big bad hacker and then the less bad hackers that have their own programs that maintain everyone's information and protect them from security breaches, but the biggest, baddest program could wipe them all out or fill them with viruses if the bad guy had it. It could even just be a virus. The ring is a virus. This is why. That's the best analogy for explaining to people why normal people can't use the ring. It's a fucking virus. Like, you use it for good, you're still going to corrupt your data. Your reasons don't really matter. I know we haven't reached the end of the breaking of the fellowship, but I feel like that's enough reading. Yeah, no, maybe.
Yeah, it's like 110. So yeah. I think that's a good amount for today.
We did start a little late.
We did.
Oh, and again, Sean Bean's Boromir is so good.
So good.
So good.
Okay. I just got really yawny all of a sudden. It's fine.
Yeah, I need to go paint or something. I've got other stuff to do, but painting appeals. I'm working on Francium or Francium. I know it's named for France, but I've been pronouncing it Francium. And it's the final troll. It's the final alkali earth. Wait. Alkali metal. Yeah, because the alkali earth metals are goblins. But it's so cool.
Nice. Well, I think you should work on that.
Right? Yes. And I'll see you Wednesday at 9?
Yes.
I've been doing 9.
Yes, indeed. I will see you then.
Okay, I love you.
I love you too.
Cuidado.
Te amas.